What are the key takeaways about Jim Crow laws? Have you ever wondered how laws could shape society in such profound ways? Jim Crow laws are a prime example of this. Let's take a closer look at their impact, especially in the context of the American Civil War and Congressional Reconstruction. Jim Crow laws were a series of regulations enacted mainly in the southern United States from the late 19th century to the mid-20th century. These laws enforced racial segregation and discrimination against African Americans, effectively treating them as second-class citizens. The term Jim Crow originated from a minstrel show character, but it became synonymous with the segregationist policies that emerged after the Reconstruction era. The Reconstruction period lasted from 1865 to 1877. During this time, the federal government made efforts to protect the rights of former slaves and free blacks. However, once Reconstruction ended, Southern states began to implement laws that restricted the rights of African Americans. This set the stage for the Jim Crow laws. These laws mandated separate but equal facilities for both blacks and whites. In reality, the facilities for African Americans were often of much lower quality. One of the main features of Jim Crow laws was racial segregation. They enforced separation in public spaces such as schools, transportation, restaurants, and even cemeteries. This segregation was upheld by the United States Supreme Court in the Plessy versus Ferguson case in 1896, which established the separate but equal doctrine. Jim Crow laws also imposed limitations on civil rights. African Americans faced obstacles like literacy tests and other voting restrictions, which disenfranchised them. This made it difficult for them to participate in elections at both local and national levels. The economic impact of these laws was significant. They reinforced economic disparities by limiting job opportunities and access to education for African Americans. This perpetuated a cycle of poverty and racial inequality. Social norms, often referred to as Jim Crow etiquette, governed interactions between blacks and whites. These unwritten rules further solidified racial hierarchies and maintained the status quo. The civil rights movement of the 1950s and 60s eventually led to the dismantling of Jim Crow laws. The Supreme Court's decision in Brown v. Board of Education in 1954 declared segregation in public schools unconstitutional. This decision paved the way for the repeal of other Jim Crow legislation. The legacy of Jim Crow laws continues to influence racial dynamics in the United States today. They representing a significant setback in the struggle for racial equality that began with the abolition of slavery. Understanding Jim Crow laws is essential to grasping the political aspects of the American Civil War and the subsequent efforts during Congressional Reconstruction.